So here's what I need you to do. When you see a job posting from a staffing agency, go look and see who posted it. They're 9 times out of 10 going to be the recruiter that is handling that role.
Mhm.
Reach out to them on LinkedIn. I haven't had a single recruiter from a staffing agency that I have reached out to about a job that I was interested in that didn't respond to me.
Mm,
There's a huge, I'm telling you, it's a totally different beast when you're talking about staffing agencies versus traditional companies. Staffing agencies are almost always competing against other staffing agencies for the same role. So
right.
they want to have the best candidate
Mhm.
for the position in question. And if you come to them and say, hey, I'm your Huckleberry, yes,
Yeah,
they will in fact want to talk to you.
right. Hey, I'm Tine your pivot and pay strategist. I help Black women double their income by leveraging their existing skills. I am all about getting Black women paid, whether you're an employee or a business owner. And you're listening to the Getting Black Women Paid podcast. Let's go. Hello and welcome to the Getting Black Women Paid podcast. I'm your host, Tine your pivot and pay strategist. This is part 2 of our conversation with Nicole S. Palmer. If you didn't catch last week, please go back and check it out. We were talking all about Black womaning in corporate America, what it is really like, how it can impact our physical and mental well-being, and most importantly, what to do about it. We talked about the legal side of things, the physical and emotional side of things. You're definitely going to want to go check that out. But today, Nicole agreed to stay with us for a part 2, and we are going to be talking about a game changer in the way you search for jobs, the way you search for contracts or consulting. We're going to be talking about the incredible power of staffing agencies. But before we get into that, I want to tell you all a little bit about our guest. Nicole S. Palmer is a best-selling author, founding partner of independent publishing company Delnick Media, and host of 5-star rated podcast Black Womaning in Corporate America. When she isn't writing, she's speaking, and she's usually talking about race, identity, and equity. And so without further ado, let's welcome back Nicole S. Palmer. Hello again.
Oh,
Well, thank you for. Yes, I know. Yes, the listeners are going to have to wait a whole week, but we are we're a few seconds from the last episode. I want to thank you for giving us this time because in our last conversation we really dug into your experiences in corporate America and the motivations for writing your book, which I'll remind folks who didn't join us last week is Playing the Game While Black Womaning in Corporate America. So definitely go back, check that out. But for this second piece, there's another aspect of your career and experience that honestly, it was the main reason I looked you up and was like, please come on this show because it is something that I had not heard of, and I know so many of our listeners will not have heard of it. So I would love to pick your brain about working through agencies. If you
oh
could
yeah.
tell us a little bit about, well, actually, let me back up for anyone who didn't join us last time. If you could give us maybe just a brief summary of your origin story, what you do,
Yeah,
and then we'll get back into it.
absolutely. Thank you again for having me back.
Mhm.
I am Nicole S. Palmer. I am the founding partner and editor in chief of Delnick Media. We have officially launched online this year. So, really excited to amplify underrepresented and marginalized voices. That's what we're all about. And we're going to be doing some big things this year. So, stay tuned for that.
Yes.
Also, best-selling author of Playing the Game While Black Women in Corporate America. So not doing too bad. Let me say something.
Yes, we gotta toot our own horns here. Yes.
Yes, yes. But to your point, which weaves in nicely to the conversation. So I have been freelancing since 1997. and have had, multiple opportunities over the years. And the one that has been the most valuable, hands down, has been my work through agencies. That
Mhm.
is apparently a well-kept secret, and I need more of us to know about it.
Absolutely. So, yeah, so tell us about that. What does that mean to be freelancing through an agency? What does that look like? How do people do it? Tell me everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so what was really amazing to me, I think that definitely as horrid as 2020 was for the obvious reasons of COVID, it
Mhm.
definitely opened up this massive opportunity, in my opinion, that wasn't necessarily as readily obvious or available as it was in years past.
Sure.
So I have been, even though I've been freelancing since 97, I've got my own clients, and sure, you can definitely do it that way. The better way is through staffing agencies. Back in the day, they used to be called temp agencies, but they got fancy now. So now they're staffing agencies, right?
Mhm.
And so essentially, what that means is you work through an agency and you pick up either long or short term opportunities, which is great, especially now because of this opening of an increase in remote work. More and more agencies actually offer remote opportunities, and not
Mhm.
just remote opportunities, but contract opportunities that give you a lot of flexibility. And so that when I realized, I said, especially, and this is how it happened for me. So in 97, I was, had my own clients, I was building up my little portfolio. And then later on, fast forward to about 2005, I started working with my first agency, and they gave me a temporary placement with an organization, and I did work for them. And I decided I really liked that. And so I continued to do work off and on. And the great thing about agencies, because it is typically temporary work, you can do short-term assignments if you only want to, maybe a couple of months, maybe it's a week. So it just can vary, right?
Mhm.
And so I continued to do that. Even as I actually had, corporate assignments that were long term and permanent assignments, I would pick up work. Maybe sometimes it's weekend work or after hours. It will vary, right?
Mhm.
And so now fast forward to 2020 when all of the things happened
Mhm.
and everything was on fire, and a lot of us had to go home. But what that happened is it created this explosion of agencies because there was a need for work to be done, especially in the white collar space. And so there was work aplenty. There
Mhm.
still is work aplenty. And so when I left the job that shall not be named, I decided I was no longer going to work through a traditional role, and I decided to
Mhm.
partner with a staffing agency. And that's what I've done since leaving, and I've held gainful employment consistently. And so that's the beauty of staffing agencies. The staffing agencies they'll take what your skill set is. So whether it's HR, and don't feel like you're limited, well, I don't do this or I do this. There is work for all of us. There's
Mhm.
marketing, there's project management. Whatever you're doing in the white collar space can absolutely be done through a staffing agency. So I'm an editor by trade. That's like that's my jam, and I'm also a writer, but I was there writing for me
Mhm.
because that's just important for me. And so I've done editing, a lot of editing and proofreading through staffing agencies. And why it's so valuable to keep partnership with staffing agencies, I will actually go back to 2008 when the bubble burst.
Mhm.
And the pharmaceutical companies, those kind of the sub part, the ones that were actually doing the work for content and marketing, kind of went belly up. I
Mhm.
lost my job. We were in Florida, and I tried to log in and I couldn't log in. I thought, well, that's odd.
Huh.
And then
Yeah.
I get a call, and the first time ever in my life, I got laid off.
Yeah.
And I was so stunned, and I just wasn't expecting that. But
Mhm.
I still had relationships with my staffing agencies. And the morning I was laid off, by the end of the day, I already had an assignment back in the DMV. Yeah.
I'm sorry. One more time for anyone who maybe was, taking a little break or something. You were laid off in the morning, and by the end of that day, you had secured something through the staffing
Sure.
agency.
Yeah.
Girl. Mm.
Yeah, that's the power of a staffing agency. It'll be
Mhm.
great.
And I want to touch on one other thing you said. I heard you say staff agencies, plural.
Yes.
Tell us more about that.
Yeah, I don't just keep one in my Rolodex.
Mm.
No, you keep
Mhm.
multiple. I recommend the optimal number is 3 to 5 at minimum.
3 to 5 at minimum. Okay.
Yes. So you establish relationships with at least 3 to 5 staffing agencies because you want to have options, number one. And number two, if one doesn't have something, the other one will.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so I think that's super valuable. There's no staffing agencies that should put an exclusivity clause. Okay. You might have an exclusivity clause when it comes to being presented to a specific company. Now that is different. So if they are also competing for the same contract in a specific, like let's say ABC company, then you agree that you will only be presented to them through that agency.
Okay.
No staffing, if any staffing agency says to you, you can only work with us, run the other way.
Mm. Mhm. Okay, so you can work with multiple staffing agencies, but a reasonable ask could be for this particular role at this particular company,
Yeah.
don't have 3 different agencies bidding over you and what have you. So that's just one. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and that's reasonable. Yeah.
Mhm. And so how does this process work? Like um how do you find these agencies? What kind of like onboarding process is there for them to learn about your skills, and then how do they contact you? Like what's the whole process?
Yeah. So one thing that I've noticed, like, and I said this jokingly, but it's really true. Like you can throw a penny in any direction and find a staffing agency. There's not many of them. They're everywhere. And that's great because that means that there are plenty of opportunities. So one of and the timing of this is actually really pretty spectacular because recently I decided to actually put together a list of the top staffing agencies, the top 25 staffing agencies based on their awards received, their reviews, overall ratings just across the board. And
Mhm.
we're going to provide that to your listeners.
Oh my goodness. Okay, yes, yes.
So yes, we'll make that available because we do not gatekeep up in here. Okay, we want all of us to win. All right,
Yes.
so we'll make that available. And what's funny about it is that when I put the list together, because my Chat GPT, I call him Chad. So when I worked with Chad to put this list together, and make sure that they were vetted and did the research. What was funny is that like the first in the top 10, like three of the staffing agencies that I work with were in the top 10. And
Okay.
so I thought I was like, okay, yes, thank you very much. Because in fact, I do agree.
Right. Right. So now you know that vetting process, you have some things to validate it based on those ones you've already worked with.
Absolutely.
Mm, love
Yeah.
that.
And so you can certainly do a search. We're going to save you the trouble because we're going to provide you the list,
Mhm.
but you can go broader. Okay. So if you want to do a search for staffing agencies, you can do this on LinkedIn as well. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. So you can
Mm.
actually search for staffing agencies on LinkedIn and you can create some filters, even though I think they changed some things, but you can create some filters so you get job alerts for that specific agency. And
Mhm.
then when they have something available, here's one of the things that a lot of people do. Oh, there's a job available at the temp agency I'm partnered with. Let me hurry up and apply for it. No, no, no. You get on the phone.
Mm.
Go old school. Yes, get on the phone. Yes, I'm serious. Like,
Mhm.
it makes a difference. So I think we forget the value sometimes of just getting on a call.
Yeah.
And this will be especially critical if you are trying to get your foot in the door. Don't just apply for a job. Look up the staffing agency, find their number,
Mhm.
call them up, depending on the area that you're in, because certain staffing agencies are actually not just nationwide, but international.
Mm.
And so find the contact information for your area and call them and
Yeah.
say, hey, I have these skills. I'm really interested in working with you. Can you connect me with an agent? They will
Mhm.
either give you an email address or they will patch you through. I have done this multiple times successfully.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Oh,
works.
this is wonderful because so many of us, especially now, especially with the many layoffs we've seen, for, federal employees, among others. A lot of us are seeing, okay, there's all these job postings. I'm just going to keep putting my resume out there. It's a numbers game. I'm just going to put out as many as I can and hope for the best. Maybe I have something checking keywords so I can try to get past that initial screen. But it does just feel like you're throwing it out into the ether, and who knows if a human is ever going to look at it. But when you say get on the phone, talk to a person who is trying to fill this role, they are motivated to fill that role as quickly as possible.
Absolutely.
And you are now on the phone with them saying, I'm your person.
Yes. And you know what the other beautiful part is to staffing agencies? Another well-kept secret. This is another nice hack I want to give y'all. Okay. This is a LinkedIn hack. And apologies to recruiters ahead of time, but I think y'all will be happy with this. So the difference between staffing agencies and regular recruiters at traditional companies is that the staffing agencies, they want to hear from you. So here's what I need you to do. When you see a job posting from a staffing agency, go look and see who posted it. They're 9 times out of 10 going to be the recruiter that is handling that role. Reach out to them on LinkedIn. I haven't had a single recruiter from a staffing agency that I have reached out to about a job that I was interested in that didn't respond to me. There's a huge, I'm telling you, it's a totally different beast when you're talking about staffing agencies versus traditional companies. Staffing agencies are almost always competing against other staffing agencies for the same role. So they want to have the best candidate for the position. And if you come to them and say, hey, I'm your Huckleberry, yes.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, want to talk to you.
Right. Whereas a role that's posted through the company, sometimes they'll even say, do not contact us about this role.
That is exactly it. Because at the end of the day, the way that staffing agencies work, these agents have a Rolodex. They want to have a Rolodex of star individuals that they can present to companies. And that's how that works. And so it's a key difference. They want to build out their roster. And one of the other things that I need folks to know about staffing agencies that I only recently really came to this aha moment a few years back that I think sometimes we don't think about is that staffing agencies actually consider, and this is how they're classified, us as the prospect, we are classified as talent. And that's, I need you to hear that.
You are the talent.
Okay. That means you bring something to the table that they need in order to fill the role. And it is no different than, think about, let's even make it basic to a sports analogy. Think about sports agents, okay? They work with specific athletes in different sports, right? They work for the talent, not the other way around. They work for the talent because the talent brings them their money.
I'm going to age myself right now. I'm just picturing Jerry Maguire with that show me the money. Like,
you know what I'm saying? Show me the money.
But yes, that's exactly right. The agent works for the talent and they're trying to get you the best opportunity possible because that's what comes back to them as well. And that's so different than going straight to the company where that negotiation is, I'm trying to get the most, they're trying to pay the least. How do we somewhere get in the middle, as opposed to I'm working with someone who's on my team who is also trying to get me the most.
Exactly. And so when you find the agencies that you're interested in, there's usually like a form you need to fill out. So you fill out the form. So again, I implore you, follow up with a phone call, an email. Make sure that you're not just saying, okay, hoping for the best, we'll see what happens. No, get on the phone. You'll be surprised how much more responsive and how much quicker you'll get through things if you just pick up the phone. Like, I mean, honestly, it really works.
And that's just, it's not our instinct at this point, right? That's not the norm. So, but that's such a helpful reminder. And so, so we'll have the link in the show notes for that list. So you'll have that list of those top agencies. But my question to you is, so let's say I'm on LinkedIn, I'm looking for a job, I'm looking at job postings. How do I know if a job that's been posted was posted by the company or by a staffing agency?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you definitely want to, once you decide what staffing agencies you want to work with, you want to sign up, like follow them as, on LinkedIn, you can follow specific companies. So you're going to just zero in on the job postings by those staffing agencies.
Mm.
So you can apply to traditional, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I just have been placed way faster through staffing agencies. The
Yeah.
amount of red tape that you go through to get placed through a traditional company is ridiculous. I worked with a staffing agency where I was offered the job on the spot. So I had the interview and they literally said, "So when can you start?" And I thought, okay, this is my day. She's like, "Okay, great. Let's get the paperwork going." Staffing agencies are
Yeah.
beautiful that way. And I think the other thing too, keep in mind is that they have, I'm sure there's a quota that they have to fill. So they're highly motivated.
Mhm.
They're highly motivated to get you placed. So the responsiveness of the individuals, once they recognize that you are the person, it's going to be way faster. And
Yeah.
you're going to see people because you can't have those conversations with the recruiters at traditional companies. They're not allowed to have those types of
Right.
conversations. But with the agencies, they are because they work very differently.
Mm.
And so, like I said, you want to keep 3 to 5. And here's the other beautiful thing about what I love about staffing agencies. I freelance with them as well. So it's not just, oh, give me a traditional job. I also freelance, which means I
Mm.
do consulting work for them as well after hours. I have the most beautiful relationships right now with some of my like dream companies that I wanted to work with, that I do work with as an editor, as a proofreader.
Mm.
And I do
Right.
that
And those right. And that can be a project by project thing, or, that could be
absolutely.
we need you for 6 months, or it could be we need you to
Yeah.
get this one project out and we need it now, which is why we're trying to staff it immediately.
And to that point, here's the beauty of staffing agencies. When you're doing those type of projects, you get paid by the hour, and 9 times out of 10, they pay you weekly.
Okay.
Okay? I'm just saying,
Yeah.
because the bills are not going to wait. They're not
Right.
going to wait.
Right.
So you want that. You want to be able to do that to actually be able to work with staffing agencies that
Mhm.
recognize that, and most of them will pay you every single week.
Yeah. This is this is life-changing information. So I just want to kind of recap for those of us who are like, this doesn't even sound real. If you have been throwing your resume out there feeling like it's just going out into the ether and nobody's listening to you, if you've been ghosted by companies, if you've been in the job search process, or you're trying to figure out how to start contracting and you're not sure where to start, any of those things, that is a lot of our listeners. Staffing agencies. Go to our show notes, get that initial list of those top agencies. You can also expand your search, look for, groups in your area, whatever it is, and start this process, because this is a game changer. As you're just saying, you got laid off one day, and that day you had secured your next thing.
I do not play.
I've been talking to people who were laid off over a year ago and are still looking. I implore you, those who are listening.
It is such a game changer. It
Yeah,
100% is. And I need more of us to do it.
absolutely. Well, Nicole, thank you so much for opening our eyes up to this. This is an unfortunately very well kept secret, and we are trying to get the secret out. So
Yes,
the more the more conversations like this we can have, the better. I want to thank you so much for sharing this with our audience,
of
because it's
course. And
invaluable.
I did want to add one more thing because I know that I know this is something that will probably come up. Most of them, I have not yet found one that does not do this, will also offer benefits. So if you're worried about health insurance, if you're worried about
Mm.
FSA, they will 100% offer that because they have their own HR infrastructure.
Mm.
So that's also why it's very attractive for traditional companies to work with staffing agency because they don't have to worry about that. The
Right.
agency takes care of all of that. So you can absolutely buy into a 401k. You can
Mhm.
absolutely get FSA. You can absolutely have health insurance that is also available through the staffing agency.
Oh, that's huge. Because right, if one of the biggest fears about going into contracting or consulting is how am I going to deal with health insurance? How am I going to do Right. How am I going to contribute to my retirement fund? And that stuff can be built in. Amazing. Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up. Thank you.
Yeah, because I know that a lot of people ask, like, well, what about my benefits? What about them? You can still have
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. So for folks who are listening to this and are like, I still have another burning question, I got to talk to Nicole. How can folks reach you?
Yes. So you can reach me on LinkedIn, Nicole S. Palmer. You can reach me everywhere. If you just put in my full name, no spaces, Nicole S. Palmer. I am on Instagram. I am on LinkedIn. I am also on TikTok. I know, old me on TikTok, but I'm out there. I'm doing with it.
We're doing it. I love it.
So yeah, just message me if you have any questions. I'm always happy to answer them. I may not respond immediately, but I will 100% respond.
Perfect. And so, yeah, we'll have those links in the show notes as well. And please check out that list of those top agencies. Thank you for putting that together for our listeners. I'm so stinking excited. And thank you again for joining us for this part 2. And anyone who missed it, go back and check out last week's episode as well. Thank you again, Nicole.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
All right. Well, we will see you all in the next one. Hey, thanks for watching the Getting Black Women Paid podcast. If you enjoyed the conversation, make sure you like and subscribe. And remember to hit the notification bell so you can catch more episodes like this one. And join the conversation by leaving a comment below. Be sure to share this channel with the incredible Black women in your life so we can continue getting Black women paid. All right, we'll see you in the next one.